The film begins in 1845 from the perspective of a young woman. She is being hung from a tree and is having a mask nailed to her face before the townsfolk burn her and recite an incantation while holding a doll towards the woman's face. Her charred body hangs from the tree. The scene shifts to the present day in Boston, Massachusetts, where disgraced journalist Jerry Finn receives a tip about something happening nearby. He asks for details and goes to investigate because a farmer believes his cow has been marked by Satanists, but Jerry finds out it was just the man's son painting the cow's rear. Then, Father Hagen comes over and asks the man to take the cow off church property. Now, as Jerry starts to leave, he hears a whisper calling him to a nearby tree, where he finds a burned doll like the one seen in the last scene, with the date of February 31st, 1845 engraved on it. Then, he steps on the doll's head and breaks it. Now he takes some photos of the man with the doll and the cow so he can make a nice story. On his way out of town that night, he sees a young woman named Alice Paget in the middle of the road, causing him to lose control and crash his car into a tree. He then sees her enter the woods and starts to follow her. She approaches the same tree Jerry was at before and murmurs something before collapsing. He then takes her to Father Hagen's house, who is Alice's uncle. He calls Dr. Natalie Gates, and it is revealed that Alice is deaf and mute. While talking with Natalie outside, Jerry says he heard her speak, to which Natalie responds that this is impossible because she has Klippel-Feil dysplasia, so she hasn't been able to speak since childhood. After that, she drops him off at a hotel and leaves. Jerry stays in Banfield to potentially get a story for his employers with a religious angle. He goes to the church where Hagen is preaching, and during the sermon, Alice hears someone whispering her name. Then she stands up and starts to leave, and we see that all the people begin to follow her, and she stops near the tree where she sees a spirit. After standing there for a moment, Alice speaks again, surprising everyone. She claims to hear the voice of Mary herself, who asks through Alice for everyone to return to the tree the next day. Then, Natalie conducts some tests on her that confirm she can now hear and speak properly. Meanwhile, Jerry reports to his former employer, Monica Slade, and tells her he has a story about a miracle he witnessed with his own eyes. She reminds him that he was fired for fabricating a story and that she doesn't want to hear what he has to say now. At night, when Jerry is sleeping, he has a dream in which a ghostly woman emerges from a nearby stream and crawls out. Then, a drop of water falls on his head, waking him up to see moisture on the ceiling above him. The next day, the townspeople return to the tree to see if another miracle can be performed. But Father Hagen comes out and says he asked Alice to stay inside. He thinks all of this is a bit much for her, so nothing will happen today. Now, everyone is very sad to hear this, but then Alice comes out and goes to that tree where she hears some whispers and sees Mary. She then approaches a young paraplegic, Toby Walsh. Alice speaks for Mary and tells Toby to walk. To everyone's surprise, the boy stands up on his legs and begins to walk, and everyone begins to consider this a miracle from Mary. Jerry records the event, and everyone starts to pray to Mary. But inside the church, the statue of the Virgin Mary appears to be bleeding. After that, we see the news about this miracle being broadcast on TV. Jerry meets Bishop Giles, who is working with Monsignor Delgard, sent by the Vatican to investigate whether Alice truly performed a divine miracle. Delgard tells them that to understand this miracle, he intends to use all available science and technology and doctors to debunk the alleged miracle and expose any deception. After that, Alice appears before the media, where Jerry asks what Mary wants, to which Alice responds that it is her faith. Then we find out that Father Hagen is sick and that the church is about to be converted into a sanctuary. Here, Jerry asks Giles for the authority to speak only with Alice and promises to be fair. He commits to taking responsibility if these miracles turn out to be false. Now, Delgard does not agree with him, but Giles says he would like to give Jerry a second chance. Meanwhile, Hagen goes to the tree and sees the broken doll on the ground. During this, we see a ghostly apparition that appears to stalk him. Jerry schedules an interview with Alice, where she says that Mary wants to reach as many people as possible. Jerry asks her why Mary chose her to, which she responds that Mary gives voice to the voiceless. She prayed to her and was healed. She opened herself to Mary and received her. She tells him that Mary said she misses the power she used to have with her words and that she saw someone needing her help. She says he must spread Mary's voice throughout the world. Then, Father Hagen arrives and says he wants to talk to Jerry privately. He tells Jerry not to take advantage of Alice and exploit her for personal gains, and begins to cough heavily due to his condition. Here, we learn that Hagen has been worried about Alice because wherever God goes, the profane follows. He tells him that before, whoever saw Mary went mad or died. Now, when Jerry returns to his hotel at night, we see a ghostly apparition behind him. The next day, Jerry sits in church with Delgard while Alice practices singing with Hagen. He starts to have a violent coughing fit and collapses, while Jerry calls an ambulance. Alice places her hand over Hagen's chest, and he suddenly starts breathing normally again. Now, both Delgard and Jerry are quite surprised to see this, but here the priest sees a ghost behind Alice. Natalie later takes an X-ray of Hagen and compares it to one from some time ago and tells them that he is healed. Then Jerry asks about Toby, to which she tells him there was no cure for his condition, but now he is completely cured and can walk normally. Now, believing that Alice truly healed Hagen's condition, the tree is officially declared a sanctuary, and Banfield begins to see more tourism. Then, Jerry receives a call from Monica, and she asks him to return, but he tells her he needs the editor position because he has the authority to speak with Alice, and to reach her, they must go through him. Then we see Hagen smoking in the church, where he hears some whispers and sees a crack in the middle of the wall. He picks up a book in which he discovers something about the devil, and then we see him through a mass. Jerry later talks to Natalie about the doll, where she tells him that those particular dolls are made to bring good luck, but they are also known for trapping evil things, placing the impossible date of February 31st to keep it trapped inside forever. They then walk by the same stream he saw in his dream. He tells Natalie he has seen this place before, and she tells him that in 1845 it became church property. Then, he sees some bubbles rising in the water and once again sees the apparition. He tells Natalie he wants to see Hagen because something happened there that is connected to the church. The scene shifts to Hagen, who sees someone in the confessional. When he approaches it, he hears the apparent voice of Mary and confesses to having invoked the name of the Lord in vain, coveted, had impure thoughts, destroyed many lives, and that now she has come for him. She tells him that she healed him, and that instead of faith, he repaid her with doubt. Now Father Hagen becomes very frightened upon hearing this, and then Mary tells him that Satan gave him the power to perform miracles. Hagen then panics and is confronted by the evil ghost, who asks him who is more powerful, and then she attacks him. After a while, when Jerry goes to the church, he finds Hagen hanging by the neck in an apparent suicide. After paramedics take his body away, Jerry talks to Giles, who asks for his discretion in this matter. Jerry interviews Alice again, and she says that Mary wants them to continue their work there. Jerry asks her if this could be the work of some demonic force, to which she responds that doubt weakens faith. Now, when Jerry gets to his hotel at night, he hears the whisper again, and this time sees Mary, who disappears the moment after. Now, while reviewing the footage later that night, he slows down the video to reveal something hidden. Mary's ghost briefly flickers during Hagen's funeral. Jerry and Natalie look in the church basement to find church records, where they find documents in Latin about demons and witches. They find a passage written about Mary Ellen, who was a healer in her time, but whoever doubted her would have a dark fate. The townsfolk turned against Mary. She was captured and submerged in the icy waters of Peter Quad Creek and confessed to working for Satan. As punishment, a mask of the Virgin Mary was nailed to her face, and she was burned to death while trapping her spirit in the doll Jerry broke. Alice stands up during the ceremony and tells the people that Mary wants them to gather at the sanctuary for a special service. Now, they understand that Hagen was killed because he must have discovered the truth, and that these miracles are not from God, but Mary Ellen opposing the Virgin Mary and doing the work of the devil. Jerry starts hearing some voices, and then Mary appears before them and attacks them, but they luckily manage to escape. Next, Jerry and Natalie go to the Archdiocese of Boston to show Giles and Delgard Hagen's discoveries about Mary. But Giles tells him he already knows about it. Delgard observes that he was never informed of this, and Giles does not want anything to interfere with the service. Jerry later does more research on Mary and tells Natalie that before Mary died, she had a son who was adopted by a man named Nicholas Packet, meaning Alice is a descendant of Mary, and Mary made a deal with the devil to live through her children and their children, and so on. Only then does their connection break, and that document catches fire. Jerry sees another statue of Mary shattering, from which Mary emerges. Now she is about to attack him, but then Delgard arrives and drives her away. Now, convinced of what Jerry was talking about, he says that all those people who believe in her are giving her more power. Now, Delgard joins Jerry and Natalie in the church to bless the doll, an attempt to return Mary's spirit to the doll. When he lights the match, we see Mary standing behind him, extinguishing it, and then suddenly the flames spread to the large cross on the wall, which falls and impales Delgard, setting him on fire as well. Jerry and Natalie run outside and go to the ritual. The ritual is well advanced, with Mary about to absorb all the faith of the townspeople to become more powerful. Jerry and Natalie arrive there and realize that the only way to stop Mary is to make everyone present doubt her power. Now Mary almost persuades the crowd to surrender their souls to her, but then Natalie distracts her. Jerry tells the crowd that he fabricated the whole story and that Alice is not really a healer. He invents some facts about what happened to her, being able to hear and Toby walking, but claims these are just medical effects. With Natalie joining him, the crowd begins to boo and renounce their faith. Now, Mary tells Alice that if they do not surrender their souls to her, Alice will never speak again. But Alice says Jerry is telling the truth and that Mary is not real. Mary becomes furious and begins to set the tree on fire, causing chaos, and Toby loses control of his legs again, and Natalie carries him safely outside. Then, Giles sees Mary emerge from that burning tree, comes to him, and removes the mask. He tries to dominate her, but Mary presses her hand against his chest and disintegrates him. Seeing this, Jerry starts to run with Alice, but she suddenly appears in front of them. Then she throws Jerry to the ground and starts crawling toward him. Then, just as she is about to kill him, Alice places herself in front of him and takes the blow. With Mary having killed her last descendant, her spirit can no longer continue to live, and she screams as she disappears into oblivion. Jerry then holds Alice's body and prays to God, crying for her survival. Then she suddenly comes back to life, and Jerry embraces her. Next, Jerry and Natalie go with Alice to Hagen's grave to pay tribute. Although Alice is once again deaf and mute, he finds a way to communicate with her. He tells Natalie he is amazed that Alice survived, as she had no pulse and was not breathing when he held her, but Natalie thinks that perhaps God really performed a miracle. After they leave, we see a verse from Matthew 7:15. "Beware of false prophets, who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves." The last thing we see is the statue of the Virgin Mary crying blood again, which means that the evil being may still return.